Hey, what's going on guys, it's Bagas here, and today we're gonna be discussing the formula for a good dinosaur documentary. Now, as with pretty much all of my SSI videos, this will be primarily based on my opinion, but I did base this on a similar pattern found in all of my highly ranked documentaries. So there's some basis in factual information to back up my opinion. In this video, I'm going to go over 3 primary factors that I think are what makes a dinosaur documentary good, and use existing dinosaur documentaries as case studies. Well, I think that pretty much covers all of the intro stuff, so without further ado, let's begin. What better topic to start off on than scientific accuracy? Now, obviously, documentaries by their very nature are pieces of media that deliver factual and, in this case, scientific information to the audience. Thus, a scientifically accurate documentary will, of course, make it good and accomplish the purpose of a documentary, which is teaching the audience something new about the subject matter. However, unlike documentaries that focus on modern day things like modern day animals, dinosaur documentaries are more subjected to inaccuracies. Of course, this is due to the obvious fact that besides birds, dinosaurs no longer exist and thus we can't actually film them in the wild. This limitation means that what is put into the dinosaur documentary in terms of the science is fully up to the creators. This then can lead to varying degrees of accuracy between dinosaur documentaries. Some are pretty accurate and others are not so much. Another thing dinosaur documentaries have to contend with in terms of scientific accuracy is the change in our knowledge. Science is always progressing, and especially in the field of paleontology, with more new discoveries, new hypotheses are made, and old trains of thought can become outdated. This makes it especially hard for documentaries to last the test of time in terms of the science, because it could potentially mean that quite a bit of the information is outdated. Despite all those challenges dinosaur documentaries have to face, a lot of them stick with the mentality of using the information at the time, which makes sense as you want to keep it as accurate and as close to our current knowledge about dinosaurs. And some of them throw in speculation as a way to kind of fill the gap in our knowledge about dinosaurs. To see how this is all used within a dinosaur documentary, let's use the most well-beloved dinosaur documentary, One with Dinosaurs, as an example. If you look at it now, there is a lot of information which is now outdated due to the progression of paleontology, and that's to be expected from a documentary that came out over 20 years ago. But for the time, the information is still pretty up to date. There are, of course, still some inaccuracies, even for the time, but they don't outright ruin the scientific side of the series, and are just minor mistakes that happen due to a variety of factors, like budget, time, or just to serve the story. Now let's compare that with a more modern documentary, Planet Dinosaur. Comparing the two immediately gives a sense of progression of how far paleontology has progressed within a decade, and once again, for its time, Planet Dinosaur is pretty accurate, and it too now has outdated information within it. So it's kind of a curse that all documentaries will come to, but a good documentary will incorporate the science based on our current understanding of dinosaurs at the time, and while some of the information no doubt will become outdated as our knowledge progresses, we can look at it to see how far the field of paleontology has come. The second factor is the visuals. Now, being a piece of media displayed on screens, the way it looks obviously plays a huge part on whether it is good or not. The most in-your-face thing when it comes to the visuals is how the dinosaurs look. Nowadays, most if not all dinosaur documentaries depict the dinosaurs through the use of computer-generated image, or as it's more commonly known as CGI. Good CGI tends to give the dinosaurs a more realistic feel. Everything from the design to the texture of the skin to the color to the blending with the environment all play a part in the visual aspect of a dinosaur documentary. More realistic dinosaurs also helps to ground the documentary and actually make it feel like you're watching a nature film, and give a sense of what these animals would have actually looked like if they were still alive. Of course, since they aren't, the visual artists have to speculate a lot on what dinosaurs look like, and they may even take a few liberties, but when it comes down to it, as long as the quality of the CGI is good, the dinosaur designs are great and realistic, it'll make for a good visual experience. However, before the technological advancement of the modern day, in the era of the Wildwood series and a few documentaries after it, dinosaurs were also portrayed using animatronics. This approach further adds to the realism as you can actually feel like they're in the environment rather than being placed there by a computer. Now, probably the main reason why modern documentaries no longer use this approach, and by the way, I want to prefix that I know just as much about this as the average person when it comes to VFX, so yeah. But I think with the technology having progressed as much as it has, it's simply easier to create good looking dinosaur models using CGI rather than making physical animatronics. And again, that's pure speculation on my part. All this is to say that no matter what approach is taken, realism is ultimately the biggest contributing factor, as you can have the best CGI ever, but if the dinosaurs don't look realistic, it's not gonna feel as scientific. You can still have some interesting designs and colors, like in Dinosaur Revolution for example, but it needs to be kept under the realm of science and realism to drive the message that these are what we predict dinosaurs will look like based on the evidence and measured speculation. Now, since I already did a full video breaking down this exact topic in length, I'll keep it brief here, or as brief as I can, to not repeat myself too much, and I'll put a link in the description of the video if you want a full breakdown of this talking point in length. But anyways, essentially each choice has its own pros and cons, and it depends on what aspect you want to focus on more. If the runtime leaves a lot of breathing room to be creative, then the story route will help give the documentary a deeper feel while providing entertainment to attract mainstream audiences. While if a science-driven documentary is the goal, then the showcase route will give the necessary amount of time to deliver information towards the audience, while still having scenes of the dinosaurs and once again providing entertainment. A good story will allow the audience to feel an attachment and engagement with the dinosaur characters while still keeping the balance and reminding them that these are still animals. A fantastic example of this that I did not mention in that separate video is March of the Dinosaurs. Scar is the main dinosaur character we follow, and there's a sense of progression and development in his story as we go further into the film. But the creators make sure to keep Scar's behaviors still feel animalistic as a way to keep the story grounded in reality and still feel like a documentary rather than a full-blown narrative movie. On the other hand, a good showcase approach will give time to focus on other aspects that will want to be incorporated into the documentary. The Truth About Killer Dinosaurs is an example of how this approach would work. By not being constrained by the need to create a narrative with the dinosaurs, it allowed them to focus more on the premise, which is analyzing the weapons and other aspects about the dinosaurs in relation to how they would kill each other. Having a story would not only limit this aspect, but it could also make it feel a bit dramatic like in some other dinosaur documentary. The show instead opts for a more realistic scenario that makes the actual battle feel like a possible outcome from the data that was taken. So a narrative approach will make the audience feel more engaged within the film and make them more invested, but has to be balanced and restrained to prevent it from feeling too human-like. A showcase style might not give the same investment as a narrative would, but it will give the flexibility to focus on other aspects and prevent over-dramatization and anthropomorphic characteristics of the dinosaurs. So what can we conclude? What is the formula for a good dinosaur documentary? Based on my admittedly limited analysis, a dinosaur documentary can be considered good if the science within the documentary is accurate for the time it was made, has great visuals, i.e. great dinosaur designs that remain grounded in realism and high quality CGI, and finally incorporating a story of Abel or simply showcasing the dinosaurs if the focus is on another aspect such as the science. Hope I enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'm not exactly sure how long this video will be, but judging from the script length, I might have maybe written a longer video. Just because this is an actual actual deep dive into it, and I feel like these other type videos have either been short or long. So I probably in hindsight, depending on how long this video is, would have maybe made a longer video, but hey, well, I mean, if anything, it does, leave the door open for maybe a part 2 where it discusses other factors that help in contributing to make a dinosaur documentary good. Yeah. But, yeah, anyways, I'll see you in the next video. A lot of things happening outside, a lot of background noise. Thank God that didn't happen during the recording session. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. God damn it, ice cream man.